Question from someone in the community. I'm a 31-year-old virgin due to a terrible childhood, family responsibility at a young age, and low to no social life. I have never been with a woman. It's about time I started dating women. So how can I start dating women in a manner that does not look desperate? I want to keep things sophisticated so women don't think I'm a 31-year-old creep. Loaded one, but there you go.
What does he do for work? That's a big question. Important.
Yeah, I have no further
McDonald's, or
information
is
on that.
he like making 200K at Facebook? I think ultimately his work allows him different options, right? Based on his net worth and style. So
It's about
And
honesty.
Yeah, I mean,
if you're
Truth
yeah,
is,
sorry,
yeah,
go ahead.
the truth is, it's about honesty. So you got to be honest with yourself. You're a 31-year-old virgin, right? You need some woman in your life. So you got to be honest with the girl too. Hey, look, I'm a virgin. I'm 31 years old. I think it's time for me to actually start dating and get into a relationship. Because if you're honest with them, they can respect you. Because a lot of times I coach virgins too, and they don't want to tell the girl that they're seeing or going on a date with that they're not experienced. They feel ashamed, right? That's the first starting point. You got to feel that for you to move forward. You got to understand what's going on wrong, and you got to accept that. So that's number one.
I will
Yeah,
say
so
like this
so this
is
guy's sorry, you go ahead, Deepak.
yeah. So this is how I see this is not a right strategy because this is how I see, like, because if we are seeing on the practical level, so just saying to the girl that I mean, if somebody is virgin, then it is okay to be virgin. So you have to accept the fact that is like an inner game, but outer game technique, you are not supposed to say to the girl, I am virgin, because in her mind she will not value you at that time, and then it will become tougher for you to get laid so with that girl. So inside, uh, deep inside, it is okay to be virgin, don't feel ashamed about it. But if the adaptation is required, then do the adaptation, get the girl, move on, simple as that. So maybe it looks a bit weird, but lie is not a lie if it is for good.
you,
So this is how I
I mean,
see
I
from the
agree. You probably shouldn't tell girls you're a virgin right off the bat. I don't think most girls care. But to answer your question, I think a lot of guys like to get into the nitty gritties, like, oh, what's the best line? What is they want to get into the very super granular, like small things that doesn't really move the needle, right? I would say, if you're a guy and you're just like in a fucked up situation or you're 10 years behind, you got to make big moves, big chess pieces, like change where you live. That's number one. If you're living with your parents and if you're living with a toxic environment, that is the most key thing. Like move, find some new roommates, move closer to downtown, go to a better city. That's step one, right? And then you have to put placeholders in place. It's like if you're trying to bodybuild and you're trying to gain weight, the first criteria is just eating enough calories, right? So you need to position yourself where you can naturally meet more women, or you have some sort of like this is what I say, like you need to be all in dating, or just don't fucking do it. Like like don't dabble in pickup. I see these guys, they're like on Reddit forums for 10 years. Like, what are you doing, man? Like, you can get this shit handled in 6 months. Just fucking go all out. Otherwise, you're just that forever loser that just like knows everything, knows every dating coach, and knows all the drama, but you're still not getting girls. Like, we're not here to know about the lives of dating coaches. Like, just go in, go hard, get the shit handled in 6 months, and then like live your life, right? So,
Yeah, adding,
Fuck
adding
yeah.
on to what Mike
Gave me the
said, right?
chills right
About
there. That's a real good one. Gave me the
yeah,
chills. Sorry,
100%.
Justin. I'll just throw a little point in first. I like what Deepak and Mike are saying. I think I don't normally add in my perspectives, but I think a great thing for virgins to do is something like try to display the opposite behaviors. So if you're a virgin, and this question mentions the word creepiness and various other things, that's the kind of vibe that virgins could quite easily give, but imagine what the opposite behaviors are. And although that sounds kind of vague, simply displaying the opposite behaviors is a real simple transformation, but I would say it's much better than just saying I'm a virgin. But it's not so much words, but the behaviors that you're carrying. Go ahead, Justin. Sorry.
I don't want to label
I
your
have I
Yes.
have I have one story to tell. What happens? It's a real story. So there was a virgin in Germany, and I was working with him, and it took me like 3 months of like consistent training with him. And then what happens? Finally, he took a girl home, and then I said, like, what happened? He said that she was in my apartment, and then I said I was so happy I cooked for her, and then I said that after my mother and my sister, you are the first girl in my apartment. That girl got freaked out and fucking left that place,
Mm.
blocked him. And then he said that what I am wrong, what I've done wrong. Deepak, I am honest. I want to be honest. I want to start the relation with honesty. I said, like, dude, what the fuck? So,
Yeah,
you
that's
know,
that's a mistake guys who lack experience make, right? A lot of these guys think like it's great to be honest. I think we all want to be honest because then you feel accepted by the people who accept your honesty. But the issue is, again, if you're a 30-plus-year-old virgin, you want to actually demonstrate social awareness because that's what women feel comfortable with, right? And so a guy who's in his 30s who has no experience with, social life and dating, you got to really start with those small wins. Start going to the gym, start changing your fashion. Like Mike said, start changing your environment, the people you're around. You start going all in and working on yourself in all areas, right? Because, if this guy's a 31-year-old virgin, he's probably overweight. He's probably dressing very poorly. He's probably not ambitious in other areas of his life. So it's really about changing the person you are and putting yourself in front of the social opportunities so you can actually get the results you want to have. And like Deepak said, I wouldn't be running around telling people you're a virgin, right? That would be a bit of a mistake. There's nothing wrong with honesty, or maybe after you finally get intimate with a woman, letting her know that I didn't tell her that you don't have a whole lot of experience beforehand. But it really comes down to, again, as I said, pretending to be the guy who is confident and the guy that is attracted to women, so you can actually become that guy.
I'm gonna put both like what Eisen said and then what everyone else said. I think it's kind of like, look at his identity though, right? I mean, that's the introduction, right? His introduction is like, obviously, maybe he didn't want to say his name, but his introduction is, I am a 31-year virgin. So his identity crisis. No, I know like we have so many identities, right? Right now we're saying we're dating coaches, or I say I'm a confidence coach or a lifestyle coach. I'm an influencer, or if you have good YouTuber. So you're actually multiple identities. And this guy's main identity is, I'm a 31-year-old virgin. So I agree with Justin. I'm like, yo, go to the gym. So now I'm a guy who works out. So I mean, I'm obviously I love to work out. So for me, when I was overweight, so I actually learned from one of the coaches here, right? So like I used to be a guy who didn't have any games. So I was a student before I became a dating coach. So I did learn from JT, and I kind of went through like other dating coaches, 3 dating coaches. So I wasn't a virgin, but like my first leg was like the girl came up to me, right? Kind of thing, right? When I finally lost weight. But I think she kind of wanted to take my virginity a little bit. I think she had that kind of vibe. So I think with this guy, I think first change his identity, right? Pick a different identity than a virgin, right? Go have a job, like Mike said, or go to the gym, or do some kind of hobby that is somewhat attractive. And then I think even with me, like eventually it took me actually a long time to finally admit that I'm a guy who has game or can get girls. It took me to like 28 actually to finally accept it, even though I had all these results, right? So I do think you should fake it to make it, but then you add eyes in this whole inner game stuff, right? And you change your identity. It's like, okay, I'm not a virgin. Like, even if he has sex, he might still be like, I still can't get girls, right? So I think he needs to first work. I mean, he might need a therapist. That's not even being mean. I'm just saying he might have a huge, terrible childhood that even dating coaches can't fix. So he might have to work on that. I don't know, do some like crystal shit, or, and I don't know, I'm not saying like, the spiritual stuff. Like, go do something. Like, yeah, do something to like get that shit out of your head, dude. But if it's not that serious, now he's just making excuses, right? Like, life's hard, dating's hard. It's supposed to be hard. That's why like hot girls are such a rarity, right? They're like the 1%. We're all trying to be 1%ers, right? So I think first he changes his identity, and then he takes what Deepak, Justin, and Mike said, do the tactics, and then eventually, once he gets the results, right? He has two choices. First, before he gets the results, he chooses to be great, or he gets the results and then he says he's great. So I think if he puts them together, what we just said, he'll do fine.
I really like that point about identity. That makes a lot of sense to me because although I lost my virginity at a very young age, I did display several identities over at being a teenager and so on. So that makes a lot of sense to me personally. That I really like that point. Yeah. Anyone else?
I'm going to read in between a little bit of the lines of his statement. It sounds like, because he was like saying, oh, I want to like socialize on a sophisticated higher level. And he's like a 31-year-old virgin, right? That says to me he has like high expectations, but low resilience, which means like he wants to be perfect, but he's not going to be able to like withstand like the slings and arrows of rejection because he hasn't faced it. I think in any kind of pursuit of mastery of any skill level is we've got to climb that mountain, call it cringe mountain, whatever, is whenever you have to learn something that is difficult, that is rarefied, that everyone else wants, you've got to put in the work. There is no magic bullet. There is no like sophisticated level when you're coming in from such a, back foot compared to everybody else. Just embrace cringe mountain, right? Just go out there. I mean, obviously, maybe get some help. Like there's a plethora of free information out there on YouTube, the internet, where you can like learn and, calibrate yourself with whatever instruction and whatever help that you need. But embrace cringe mountain. Just get out there and don't have this attitude. It's like, oh, I'm going to learn this highly sophisticated, high level kind of game where I'll never be rejected. And, I'll be able to get over my problems because I found like that perfect strategy or tactic. Like there is no perfect strategy. There's no perfect tactic. Each person is unique and you have to find what works specific to your situation.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. And for example, when you want to go out and you know that it's gonna be very awkward approaches in the start, so sometimes I suggest guys also, for example, if you're living in your local city and you don't want to be that creepy guy labeled, so better like take a like Friday evening, go to some other city, practice the approaches. Even if something happens, it will be on the other city, and then come back and like calibrate something like that if you don't want to burn your city, something like that. Because in the start, definitely when you are going out and you are like 31-year-old virgin, so it will happen, the girl will be get freaked out. So this guy, when I was teaching him, so in the start I have to set to him that ask the girl, if you have a like the head, what we say toilet, what we say in German we say Taschentücher, this paper napkin kind of thing. On the street I was asking him to say, I was teaching him in German language, so when he was saying this thing, the girl get fucking freaked out. So imagine like how much freaky situation was for him. But it is in Berlin, so Berlin has like 5 million people, so it is not a big problem. So if this situation is happening, then one what we say technical solution, because sometimes people think that, oh, I'm already like a virgin, if I go out then girl may think that I am like kind of like freaky. So to remove that factor, just go in some other city on the weekend time, practice it, and then come back. So this is also a good strategy, and you will your social reputation in your local city will be saved. If you are from the small city, if you are in London, New York, then nobody cares.
Unless you're going to the same university campus over and over again, and then you're on a fucking Reddit post for 2 years in a row. Don't fucking do that one, guys. I want to tie in some points I heard throughout this. Mike said about changing your environment. I think that's such a solid point. I heard Mysteries was talking about the same thing when I had him on. And I've been thinking about that recently. That has stuck with me because my situation, I don't want to waste time getting into this, but I've been stuck in England for well over a year because my wife has brain cancer and she hasn't been able to fly. It's going to be her first flight in a long time on Sunday. But being stuck here for so long, the one thing we need is a change of environment, like desperately. So I understand that not just from a dating perspective. I did change my environment when I was younger, kind of for the sake of work and dating, and it worked out massively. So that's a very solid point I really want to highlight from my personal experience and what Mystery was saying in relation to that too. And about honesty, like if you really want to tell her that you're a virgin, why don't you seduce her, have sex with her, and send her a fucking postcard after and say, well, thanks for taking my virginity away. It's like you can be honest, but I'm not saying be dishonest, but the behaviors you display, that is some kind of side of honesty, and that's something that people should think about. Any other last comments
Yeah,
before
one
we-
thing, like, I will not even.
Going back
One
to
thing,
honesty.
I
So
just.
I totally agree. You got to be honest, but in the beginning, you got to be honest. This is why I want to contradict it a little bit, Ice. It's because if you're not honest in the beginning, then she's gonna know like, why is this guy acting so weird? Because this person doesn't have an experience, right? So he is gonna act a little bit differently than someone who does have experience. But he says, hey, I'm just not very experienced. I spend a lot of time playing games or going to school or working. I just never had time to date. So I know this is gonna sound weird and come across as being a little bit different than most people, but I'm actually a virgin. If he says that in the beginning on the first date, then she's gonna understand him a lot better, give him a lot of slack. Like just like for me, if I say, hey, I just got out of prison, I was in prison 5 years. That's why I don't have an iPhone because they didn't have iPhones or it wasn't very popular, right? That's why I don't know how to use the apps, right? So
I
now
think,
they're like, oh, okay, this guy, okay, that's fine, right? He's
I
not
think
that
you guys
weird.
are both valid
But
because in
both
terms of
example are wrong. Actually, sorry. Can I finish? So the thing is the prison example and the virgin example, they are slightly different because the prison is actually, it can be slightly kind of give a girl like, okay, he has kind of this criminal kind of thing. So it can be slightly attractive in one way.
And he
In
lost
that
his
way. So,
virginity anally when he was in prison.
and
So there's
also, yeah.
also that.
And one thing also, what you said, that giving a postcard. So I will not do this thing even after sex, because if we are going into relation, so because the girl is thinking that, oh, this guy is like cool and he's a player, because in her mind, your picture, she has a picture that this guy is a cool guy. So you want to keep that thing going on. If you able to project it that you can get lit with lot of girls and she's already in a long-term relation with you, maybe then later you can say after 3-4 years, but I will not do it even after sex.
Alrighty.
I want to get into
Let's
this, but you guys
quickly move on to the next one.
can I
Just
just
so
say something real
Daddy
quick?
can. Okay.
I just say something real quick. So you guys both valid because in terms of game, there's micro scale and there's macro scale, right? Macro is kind of like looking at an average over your growth over 6 months, 12 months, right? And then the micro scale is that specific set. What is your percentage of success, right? So what Eisen's saying is being able to convey your thoughts and just saying whatever you feel, that's going to help you on the macro scale. But specifically for that one interaction, maybe telling a girl you're a virgin is not the right move. But since we're going out talking to 20, 30 girls a night, you can lose some sets by you have to become better at game. You have to fuck up. And the only way to do that is trial and error and going outside of what you normally do. And so I think both of you guys are right. Sometimes, I'll split test, right? It's just kind of like, it's like marketing, right? I'll say some controversial shit to like half of the girls for the first 2 hours of the night. And then I'll say some conservative, like, hey, how's your night going? The other half, right? So, but does that kind of make sense? I think both of you guys have valid points.
Yes, sir.
Right. That was my